Start with barrier one. Flash up first contact local organisations. Why is the first contact so crucial?
Well, if you don't get the first contact right, it's going to be the last contact, isn't it? Bluntly, and you'll lose them. I think there are a series of events before they clap eyes on each other, before the agency meets the volunteer or the volunteer meets the staff of the agency, when they're just exploring the possibility of volunteer, when you can lose volunteers. You can lose volunteers before you even meet them. So, for instance, what is your reputation as a voluntary agency locally? What is it you get in the newspapers for? Is it crisis? Is it good news about volunteers? What's your website like? How quickly do you respond when somebody says, I'm interested in volunteering, could you tell me about it? Because in the electronic age we're in now, I think often the agencies quickest to respond will get most volunteers. When you answer phone calls from volunteers, how well are they taken? So there are all these at a distance contacts which voluntary agencies need to get right. So you've sort of interested the volunteer because they've made contact with you. Can you now engage them? That's the issue at that stage. And if you don't engage them, you lose them. There are plenty of other vacancies for volunteers out there. So in a sense, it needn't be the volunteers' loss, it could be the agency's loss. So it is pretty vital for them.
So what does this mean for the organisation?
Well, if their persona, their image locally isn't positive and welcoming and engaging, volunteers may not fully engage with them and they may lose them, they may go elsewhere. So if they're short of volunteers, they're losing them at the first opportunity, if you like.
And what does that mean for their respective beneficiaries of the organisations?
Well, some groups consist entirely of volunteers. Some groups have a large number of volunteers supported by paid staff, or the relationship might be the other way around. But volunteers are essential for so many groups to get the work done. And I think in Heron Ward I spoke to 22 groups, and I think 18 of them used volunteers and a 19th wanted to but hadn't gone about it yet. So volunteers are absolutely central to the delivery of services. And with the cutbacks we've had in the last 5 years, and are likely to have in the next 5 years, paid staff I think are going to be laid off. And I think it's difficult to say that volunteers can replace paid staff, but I think we're going to need volunteers more than ever.
Okay, and what about from the volunteers' perspective?
Well, I think if they get a phone call or a letter, a delayed letter or a phone call that isn't very helpful, that just puts them off, not just that agency, that maybe it could put them off volunteering in general, and that would be a shame. So I think agencies need to brush up on their customer service skills or their public relations skills, I think, because you never know who you're answering the phone to in a local agency. So it may be a volunteer, maybe somebody offering something. You know, we've all got to be on our toes and be as welcoming and hospitable as we can, I think, when the phone rings.
Are small voluntary organisations really ready to offer the degree of customer service that a volunteer might expect?
I'm not sure they are. I'm not sure it's a matter of large or small. But as voluntary organisations, we often tend to be absorbed in talking to our own folk, our own volunteers, our own friends, our own public, our own supporters. And half the UK population don't volunteer. So we've got to reach out to them to widen the pool of volunteers within which we can fish, if you like. And to do that, we've got to make sure that we're speaking the language of the people out there, not just our own language, not just speaking to our allies and people who are already converted to our cause.
Okay.